Hey, I had a fella on YouTube. He kind of asked me to break down hook and line if I could do that, and I figured I'd give that a shot. I'm not much of a teacher or a speaker. I'm not very good on the camera either. I get nervous when I do it. But I wanted to start this by saying I learned this from Clifton Hicks, and who I believe learned it from George Gibson. Both of those men are teachers and mentors to me. I've learned things from watching them online. And more so, I would say Mr. Hicks, more so a teacher to me because I've learned the majority of the stuff that, um, there's a lot of things that I've learned from him, different techniques and different songs. But more importantly, I view him and then Mr. Gibson as a mentor to me because I like to call myself a traditional banjo player, and one of the one of the things that I think is super important about playing the banjo and being a traditional banjo player is the idea of balancing the traditions of it with, but then also making sure that you're also staying true to yourself. I mean, and that can mean different things. I think a lot of it has to do with the more you progress, the more you develop your own style. But more than anything, you're not trying to sound just like somebody else. You're not trying to completely copy them. You're you're trying to take what you see them do, and you let yourself translate that with the way that you play. So you're not just trying to copy note for note. Um, there's a really good article by George Gibson. I can't think of the exact name of it, but it's something like emulation versus imitation. I think it's something like the state of traditional banjo or the state of something like that. I'm going to link it here. I also want to link Clifton Hicks if you've never seen him. Um, that way you can follow him. He's a very good teacher. He has a huge repertoire of songs that he knows. Um, I do not have that much of a repertoire. I'm still learning myself. I think I've only been playing this for, I guess, probably 2 years, something like that. 2.5 years, and I've got a full-time job. I've got a wife and a kid, so really I play banjo when I have time. But then I also learn songs that move me or touch me in a way that makes me want to learn them. So I'm not learning any kind of set repertoire of songs. I'm just learning basically what I want to when I want to. So this tuning, it's hook and line tuning. It's double C. I'll kind of play through it once and then kind of a little faster, and then I'll try to figure out an angle to where you can see what I'm doing, and I'll kind of explain some of the things that I'm doing. But I guess the whole reason that I started that whole conversation about that is because I'd like to show you. I play this a little bit differently from Mr. Hicks, but it's very similar. I learned it from him, but I'm not trying to sound just like him when I play it. So if you see this and you're learning from it, then I don't want you to copy me exactly either. I just want you to take from it what you enjoy and make it your own. I mean, you can play this tune, all these songs, you can play a bunch of different ways and it still be the same song. And that's the case with this song, definitely. So I'm going to run through this kind of at a faster speed, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of slow down and try to break some of the stuff apart. And my wife's calling me because I'm in the barn. And I filmed this stuff on my cell phone. Alright, so there's different parts to it. I may not have included all of them that I play in it. This is a dance song, or originated as a dance song. Before I even started putting videos of me playing, I've been doing this for however long I've been playing, and I just play for my own enjoyment. I play for my kid, and then I've played for small groups, but the majority of the time I'm just playing for myself. So I don't have any set order of how I play these parts. I just play them as I feel them. I also may play this song for a really long time. I mean, before I just get tired of playing it anymore. So, I mean, I could be playing this for 6 or 7 minutes. I don't really know the time. But the first part, the melody part of this, let's see. Maybe I just need to scoot closer. The fella, he also mentioned that something about drop thumbing. And I know it may look like I'm drop thumbing because of the way I play, because I let my thumb go really far down. But I never drop thumb on a song. It's something that I've tried before and I just didn't like it, so I kind of adapted my playing around it instead of just kind of pushing through it and doing it, I guess. But so that first part is pretty straightforward. I mean, you can play that different ways, and I think it'll still sound good, but that's the way that I almost always play it is. And then a lot of times what I'll go from there and I'll kind of feed into it by going like this. So honestly, I kind of almost go to up picking right there. Let's see. And that's something I do quite a bit. He watched the short, so this is something I did not do in my short. It's something that, as I've gotten more comfortable with doing, I'm actually comfortable enough to do it while videoing. But then the other two parts in the song, the way that I do it is Mr. Hicks, I believe. I learned this part from Mr. Hicks as well, but so. So I'm just hammering down right there, and then as soon as I come down, I'm hitting that top string twice. times, like I say, it is. I play this in different orders, but another part that I do is and I think other than that, I also fan the neck. And the most important thing about fanning the neck, like I said, I'm gonna put a link to Mr. Hicks explaining that as well, because he does a really good job of explaining it. One thing that I found though is for me to make it sound in time for myself, I was having a really hard time trying to figure out how to do that. That was not this part, but I mean just fanning it, going from playing overhand to fanning the neck. And the thing that I found is that I always had to do it after this downstroke. So this downstroke, and to keep that sounding in time and sounding right. So I play guitar, or I learned guitar way before I ever thought about playing banjo. And with guitar, you know, playing rhythm, you always start from the top down. So that really threw, or almost always, you know, especially in like traditional music and stuff. So it really threw me for a loop for a long time. But once I figured out that you oh, see, I did it wrong. But I think I pretty much covered all the parts of the way that I do it. Like I said, just kind of take that and use that to make this your own. I mean, like I said, it's kind of a balance between the tradition of the song and, you know, having the same basic melody and then, you know, just adding yourself into it. So maybe this will kind of help anybody out there that's, if they see my video on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. I hope it helps anyways. Like I said, I've never really just sat down and tried to teach anybody anything. And I'm still pretty fresh to even videoing myself. Before I started videoing this, I never really videoed myself at all. I don't really even take pictures of myself unless I'm messing with my wife about climbing ladders and stuff with my job. So, but like I said, hopefully that'll help. So I think that's all I've got.